One of the most frustrating parts about using a MIDI keyboard and your DAW is that sometimes you can experience a really annoying delay or lag between when you hit the keys versus when you hear the sound in your DAW. So in this video, I'm going to be breaking down how you can quickly fix this problem and get back to recording with your MIDI keyboard in your DAW as you originally intended in time. Coming up. Hi, I'm Michael Emmerson, bringing you the best tips, tricks, and tools to help you accelerate your keyboard skills for your music production. So let's dive into how you fix this problem in your DAW with your keyboard that feels like it's delayed or lagging. So the official term for this is actually called latency, which simply defined means the delay between an audio or MIDI signal before it hits your recording software and produces sound like Logic Pro X or Ableton Live or whichever software you're currently using. And this is usually measured in milliseconds, so you can have a really short latency or a long style of latency which you don't want, because that's going to affect how you're playing the keyboard in the DAW. So the main way to find out what latency you're currently experiencing is to go into the preferences and go to audio, which is the same in any DAW. And you've got these settings here. Now the first one to consider is the buffer size, okay? And you can see here just below, the resultant latency currently is 5.8 milliseconds output, which means that's the latency that you'll experience when you're actually playing the MIDI keyboard or recording audio into your DAW. Now, if we have a go at changing this setting to 128, let's say, this is going to affect that output there. You can see it's gone down. It's less latency now. So the lower you go with the buffer size, the less latency you will experience. And the higher you go with the buffer size, the more latency you'll experience. So I've changed the buffer size there to 1024, and you can see it's 23.2 milliseconds. Now, anything over 10 milliseconds will feel very, very annoying indeed, but I like to try and keep it below 5 milliseconds, so it's really not that noticeable. So if you go for like something like 128, that's going to give you something like 2.9, but this is all again depending on what audio interface you're using or what driver you're actually using in the output and input device of your software. So for example, at the minute I've got it set to ECamm Live App Audio, but if I change this to a different driver, again, it's going to change here. The resulting output is going to be different. The ideal would be to have a really good audio interface, which will give you a lower latency anyway. But if you are interested in seeing which of my suggested audio interfaces, definitely check out the Music Maker Toolkit, which is below in the video description for you. And you've got all sorts in there like MIDI keyboards, the best stands and stools that you can get for MIDI keyboards, the best VSTs, the best virtual instruments broken down into different instrument sections. And also you've got my top recommended audio interfaces in there for you as well. So make sure you check out that resource for you in the description and download that. Another thing to consider is that when you change the buffer size, this is really going to affect how your computer performs. So for example, if I changed it to like a lower buffer size, like 32, yes, I'm getting 0.7 millisecond output, but that's going to cause lots of audio dropouts, lots of distortion. And if you've got lots of plugins loaded or lots of virtual instruments, that's really going to affect them playing back, and you'll get lots of cutouts. So in review, the trick is to try and strike a happy balance between a lower buffer size and also a low latency to see what feels right for your music project. Now, before you even play a note with no latency, it's vital to make sure that you are setting up your MIDI keyboard in your home studio in the correct way and avoid doing the #1 mistake that most producers make, which could potentially lead to harmful injuries down the line. So to make sure that you're not making this mistake when you're setting up your keyboard, definitely check out that video now by click or tapping the screen, or another Fast Track Keys video, click or tap the screen. Smash like if you got value, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.